What's good, everybody? And in today's vlog video, as you guys can tell, I'm going to be explaining every single weapon in this game in the most simple, most efficient way possible. And one moment before I go ahead and start this video, if you guys aren't subscribed yet and you are a regular on my videos, like you come back constantly and whatnot, be sure to press that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? I usually don't ask for subscribers, but it would be a really great help, honestly, and it would just be a really great way of you guys showing support. So if you haven't already and you like my videos, go ahead. But yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video. So the first weapon we will be covering is a weapon called Iron Head. Now, Iron Head is very simple. It's as simple as gonna get. You pretty much just header and it's stronger than usual. That's it. Okay, now the next weapon we have is Leader. Now, Leader is another simple one. You pretty much just press R, it refills your whole team's stamina, and it also boosts their shot power and speed. Next weapon we have is Long Legs. Now, Long Legs is yet another simple one, which is a common, trend in every single common in this game. But yeah, pretty much Long Legs, anytime you M2 steal every 20 seconds, your hitbox increases. And the way you know your hitbox actually increases is whenever your character glows. And regardless of the rarity, if you're a good defender who's very familiar with the fundamentals, then this is yet another good weapon to use. The next weapon we're going to be talking about is Direct Shot. Now, Direct Shot is one that surprisingly a lot of you guys asked me about, and I'm glad I'm going to be able to let you guys know how it works today. But yeah, pretty much you have to fully charge in the box. You have to get it passed to by a teammate while you're still fully charged, by the way. And when the ball gets in your radius and you shoot it, that's how it activates. So just for the ones in the back who didn't hear it, you have to fully charge your M2, you have to be within the box, and you have to get it passed to by a teammate. And then it grants you a very, very powerful shot. And this is a weapon I wouldn't actually recommend unless you're constantly playing with other teammates. So yeah, just keep that in mind. It is not a weapon you can go in autos and just solo with, because you have to get your teammate to actually pass it to you. Now, for the next common weapon we have is the new one, Rough. So Rough, pretty much, it's probably the most complex common we have right now. So pretty much how this works is you press R and the person you end up hitting falls to the ground. Like, you straight up NFL Ray Lewis them straight up on the soccer field. So yeah, that's how it works. It ragdolls the opponent for 2 seconds. It ragdolls you for 4, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it's mainly meant to be a troll weapon, but if you want to take someone out the game for 2 seconds, if they're really that good, then yeah, this is a pretty good weapon. But other than that, it's mainly for the, laughs and the jokes and whatnot. So yeah. And before I go into the next weapon, I have to note, you have to hit the person. Like, you have to directly hit the person, or you're just going to end up being ragdolled for 4 seconds with a wasted weapon. So keep that in mind. All right, so our next weapon is a rare, our first rare of the video, and also our first GK weapon of the video, and it's Snatch. So in order to activate Snatch, you either have to press Z, C, or F to, pretty much your regular GK keys. And once pressing those, you have a 50-50 chance to snatch the ball regardless of where the ball is. So this is very useful if you're a GK who tends to make some mistakes a lot. So yeah, if you want like an extra lifesaver, 50-50 chance to grab that ball that you possibly wouldn't get normally, then yeah, Snatch is a very good weapon. Our next weapon is Neurotic. So Neurotic is another one of those weapons that kind of gives you a second chance. And pretty much how this works is once your ankle broken, you get up, and for 3 seconds, you get an immense amount of speed. So if you get ankle broken once and this activates, you pretty much have a guaranteed chance of getting the ball back, or getting a second chance at the very least. The next rare weapon we have is Repel. So Repel pretty much works, it's a passive, okay? So when you use your regular GK keys, like pressing F, Z, or C, and you get a save, instead of you like barely putting the ball in front of you, the ball actually goes a lot further out. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really see too many goalkeepers using this weapon, but if you can make it work, you can make it work. The next rare weapon we have is Web. So how Web works is you pretty much just press R, a web pops up, and whoever is in that radius of the web gets stunned for about 3 to 4 seconds, if I'm just guessing, because they don't really say a specific time. But from experience myself, I'd say, yeah, probably 3 to 4 seconds. And in that time frame, you cannot do anything. You're pretty much just put in slow motion until that time ends. And unless you have a weapon like King, there is no counter to this weapon. And the cooldown for Web is 70 seconds. Now, the next and final rare weapon we have is the new weapon, Accelerate. So how Accelerate works is whenever you press R, you get into a short burst of speed. You just cover a short distance in a very short amount of time, pretty much instant. So if you're a defensive midfielder who wants to get to their opponents faster, or if you're a winger or a striker or anything like that who wants to get past their opponents in one short burst, then this is the weapon for you. Alright, so now we are on to the exotic weapons. Now the first exotic weapon we have is Copycat. Copycat works just as the name implies. You pretty much just hover over a player, click them, press R to activate their weapon, and you get their weapon. Now, Copycat only ranges from common to legendary, so you can't copy Formless, Emperor, or King, Serpent included. But I bet they'll add an exclusive trait that allows you to do that sometime in the future, but who knows. So yeah, once copying somebody's weapon, you get put in a cooldown for 180 seconds. It used to be only double the time of the weapon, but it seems like they nerfed it a little bit. So our next weapon is Kunigami. So pretty much Kunigami gives you a very powerful shot once pressing R and fully charging, but please keep in mind that you have 10 seconds to actually get this shot off, or the weapon will actually go into its cooldown. So you can't just press R and wait out the whole game until the best moment. You have to kind of plan out 10 seconds in advance, or just press R and do it right then and there. But most people don't even notice it, so it won't hinder you too much, and the cooldown for this weapon is 25 seconds. So the next weapon we have is Shadow. Once you press R while using this weapon, you go into a short dash. Now, it's not really a dash like acceleration, it's more of a passive that boosts up your speed. And in Shadow's case, the exact amount of speed it boosts you by is 55%. And the cooldown for Shadow is 95 seconds, which is fairly, it's a fairly good cooldown for what you're getting. Now the next weapon we have is Voracious. This one is a passive like the ones earlier, and you don't need to press R to activate this. Pretty much how this works is if you miss a steal or miss a tackle, you instantly get back up as long as you have 15% stamina. So similar to a weapon like Neurotic, you instantly get back up without the speed, but you can be a pretty annoying defender with this weapon. So if you're a defender who likes to test the waters a little bit, maybe just slide just because, or try and steal something you don't know for sure you can get, then Voracious is definitely the weapon for you. So the final exotic weapon we have is Watchtower. So pretty much how Watchtower works is whenever you press R, you drop a huge tower on the field. This tower lasts for 40 seconds and pretty much doubles you and your teammates' hitbox that are inside the zone. And the cooldown for this is only 100 seconds, so pretty much you just have to place a tower, and by the time that tower is done, you'll only have to wait half the time until you place another tower. Alright, so we are finally on to the legendaries, and the first legendary we have is Acrobatic. So Acrobatic has two ways you can use this. First way we're going to talk about is with the goalkeeper way. So with this, you pretty much just press R on the ball that's coming near you, and you'll do a handstand block. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And you don't stay on the ground for too long. You get up pretty fast. So once you're done doing that, you can pretty much just pick the ball right back up and clear it to one of your teammates. Honestly, one of the more troublesome GK weapons in an attacker's opinion. And yeah, so for the other use, the more common use for defense and attack is whenever you press R, you do a diving header. So for defense, it kind of gives you that extra range, to steal the ball, like kind of just like throw yourself there on the ground. Try not to miss because you will be stunned for a little bit. And for attack, people don't really use it too much because the power got decreased on it, but you could use it for like kind of a slick shot. If you want to catch like the goalkeeper off guard, you can do that, but I doubt it'll work on like the actual auto GK. Next weapon we got is Speedster, aka Chigri, and this one is pretty simple. You press R and it boosts your speed by 30%. And this buff lasts for about 20 seconds in total, and the cooldown is 120 if I'm not mistaken. Next weapon is Nagi. So Nagi pretty much works when the ball's in the air, you jump up and you press R, and regardless of where the ball is in the air, as long as you're in the general range, the ball will automatically come to you, and yeah, it'll be in your animation. So with Nagi, upon pressing R, you can either shoot a mid-air shot or let the ball drop back down for you to dribble and then shoot it. And the cooldown for Nagi is about 40 seconds. The next legendary weapon we have is Riptide. So how this weapon works is you press R to either aim it to the right or the left for the curve, and pretty much once you shoot it or pass it, the ball will heavily curve that way. So if you're using this weapon and you want to get it to a specific person, don't look directly at them. Kind of look more to the right if you're using the right curve, or the left if you're using the left curve, and yeah, you'll get a pretty good pass. And the cooldown for Riptide is exactly 25 seconds. The next legendary weapon is Monster. So the cooldown for this is 40 seconds, and it actually has two variants. So the first variant is the sprint variant. While you're sprinting, if you use this weapon, you pretty much do a heel flick over you that gives you a pretty good distance. The next variant is the walk variant, where if you're walking and you press R, you do consecutive chops, and wherever you're looking, you'll dash that way. Now, I will warn you guys, if you're planning on using this weapon, the sprint variant doesn't have iframes. Iframes meaning time where the other people can't touch the ball. The walk variant does, though. Like as long as you're chopping the ball, nobody can steal it from you, but you know, that's not the same with the sprint variant, like I just said. Okay, for the final legendary weapon, we have Sword Screw. So pretty much how this weapon works is while the ball is mid-air, you can press R, and wherever you look, the ball will go. So if you were to shoot the ball in front of you and you want to get it back, before it touches the ground, you can look behind you and the ball will bounce back your way. If you accidentally make an iffy pass to like the left or the right and you want it to go the opposite way, you just look the way you want it to go and it'll go that way. Now, honestly, this weapon is pretty tricky, so if you're thinking of using it, you should honestly go and, you know, test it out on your own. But yeah, that's pretty much how the weapon works. You can change the ball trajectory wherever you're looking. And mind you, you have to do this before the ball touches the ground. And yeah, the cooldown for this is 45 seconds. Okay, so we're finally onto uniques, and the first unique we'll be covering is Formless. So how Formless works is pretty much you get into a backflip and you do a very, very powerful shot. The most powerful shot in the game actually behind your back. So the ball will end up wherever your back is facing. And you could either do this by just putting the ball in the air, like just letting it fly and then doing it, or you can do an insta Formless where you do a very quick motion where you flick the ball up and Formless it at the same time. And the cooldown for Formless is 150 seconds. Now, Formless does have a passive which is not affected by the cooldown, and it's Dragon Drive. How Dragon Drive works, it pretty much gives you a Kunigami level power boost to your shot, except you have to be in air while using it. And like I said, Dragon Drive has no cooldown. The next unique weapon we have is King. So King, you do 3 consecutive very long chops that will get you down the field very quickly, and yeah, that whole time you have iframes, meaning any like as long as you're in the chop animations, nobody can get the ball from you. And even though in the description it says the chops are placed randomly, that is actually untrue. The chops are actually placed depending on where you're looking. Now, like Formless, King also has a passive, and the passive is the King shot. Now, you could either use this in 2 ways. So the main way people use this is pressing R and then ending up in the box and then shooting right after. So if you want to try this out in game or like anything like that, you pretty much just kind of calculate the distance and see if your King chops will end up in the box. And if they do, you'll be granted a shot along with iframes before the shot, which is very hard for the opponents to grab. Now, the other way you can do this is you just walk into the box, you press R, you have it activated similar to Kunigami, and you pretty much just full charge it. And if you do it like this, you can shoot it anywhere. Just please note, like Kunigami, you only have 10 seconds to get this off and you have to full charge it. But if you do it that way, the cooldown is only 100 seconds. And the King shot is very comparable to something like Ambidextrous if you're wondering how powerful it actually gets. Next weapon we have is Emperor. The cooldown for Emperor is 180 seconds, and for the use, like I think we all know how this works, but it just really it gives you a very, very fast shot without any charge up. So with just the simple press of R and your M2 button, you will get a very, very powerful shot, almost unblockable. The next weapon is Serpent. So with Serpent, when you press R, you'll jump very high and you'll summon a snake that automatically clears the ball. And the hitbox for this is huge. So if you think you missed it, you probably didn't. Just be sure the ball is in the air. And this move is very good for countering Nagi, a weapon with iframes. And the cooldown for Serpent is 120 seconds. Now, Serpent also has a passive where if you press Z and C, you get pretty much GK abilities. Now, similar to King, you also have to be in the box to use this, so you can't just be using those abilities outside the box or anything like that, but they are very, very useful. The next unique weapon is Godspeed. Now, once you press R, you pretty much just lunge in the way you're facing, and if you don't get the ball, it'll only be 60 seconds. But if you do end up getting the ball, it'll be 150 seconds. You can also aim Godspeed up in the air if you want to get more creative plays, but just note that you cannot use this weapon in the box. Alright, and for our final unique weapon and our final weapon of the video, we have Planetary, which is a honestly very simple one. So the cooldown for this is 50 seconds, and if the ball is airborne and you press R, then the ball automatically teleports back to the person who had the ball. So if it was a bad pass or anything like that, then you can recover. So Planet is honestly a very good weapon for sending up direct shots and Emperors. So yeah, with that being said, that's about it for today's video. Yeah, it was a pretty long one, to be honest. I only expected this video to be like under 9 minutes, but it ended up being like 16. So yeah, like if you guys got to the end of the video or you guys got what you wanted, then yeah, be sure to subscribe like I said at the start. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. You guys have a good one. Peace.